In today's breaking story, the Supreme Court has just dropped a brutal Charlie Kirk bomb. That's right, things continue to unravel. How's it going, everybody? Hunter Avalone here with Occupy Democrats. Welcome back to another video. Now, Charlie Kirk continues to dominate the news cycle for very obvious reasons, and more people are speaking out, specifically about the negatives of radicalization.
I know a lot of people, certainly a lot of Republicans, a lot of people are listening to President Trump, and you've heard me talk about it earlier in the show. But several Republican lawmakers, prominent conservatives, including President Trump's sons, Don Jr. and Eric, as well as President Trump, have blamed this on the radical left. Is that the right thing to do, or what do you wish he was saying?
So if it were up to me, I think you need to take the word radical and remove right or left. And radical coming from any direction is not good. It's not healthy, and it should be called out. And that's my mission, is to say, look, this to me, this is not right. This is not left. We're talking about radicals, and that's where we need to put our attention.
Senator, how do you think we got to this point in this country with so much political violence?
You know, you mentioned I live not far from the university. I was mayor of Provo, Utah, right next to it. I know you know where that is. That was just a decade ago, and it wasn't like this. And I think a number of things have come along. I don't think COVID helped. I think we have to look really hard. I mentioned social media before. I think we have to look really hard at what's just occupying nearly 100% of brain weight of not just the youth, but of all generations, and what's coming across, and actually what we're allowing to come across. And there's just zero liability for what people are putting out there. And I just think that's, if we're going to fix this, we have to look really hard at that.
Of course, Trump is extremely selective with who he shows his sympathies for. Of course, Trump is lowering the flags for Charlie Kirk. He doesn't even remember the names of the Democrats that were just killed.
In retrospect, given all of the moving ways that this White House has paid tribute to Charlie Kirk, right, do you think it would have been fitting to lower the flags to half-staff when Melissa Hortman, the Minnesota House Speaker, was gunned down by an assassin as well?
I'm not familiar. The
Minnesota House Speaker, a Democrat, was assassinated this summer.
Well, if the governor had asked me to do that, I would have done that. But the governor of Minnesota didn't ask me. I didn't. I wouldn't have thought of that, but I would have if somebody had asked me.
And now the Supreme Court has dropped a Charlie Kirk bomb. That's right. Take a look at today's top story.
I have to begin, though, by asking, 2 hours after I was done talking to you, my colleague Charlie was murdered. Your reaction to that, and to just generally political discourse in the United States, about which you write a lot in Listening to the Law.
That was horrific. I was at Notre Dame shortly after I left you at the Nixon Library, and the mood on campus was very somber. I mean, for the father of 2 young children and a husband to be murdered in cold blood was a tragedy, and certainly sobering for the nation. And I think it is a sign of a culture that has where political discourse is soured beyond control, and something that we need to really pull back. I mean, obviously, I assume that the person who murdered Charlie Kirk was mentally ill. But nonetheless, to create a culture in which political discourse can lead to political violence is unacceptable in the United States.
Justice, you quote your father in the book as saying repeatedly to you and your siblings, control your emotions or they will control you. It's very similar to a message I got repeatedly growing up. Do you think that message is out of style, or do parents have to double down on that message?
I think it's time to double down on that message. That was a message that, as you say, my father repeatedly gave my siblings and I. It's one that I've repeatedly given my own children, that I've put up in various places on index cards around our house to remind them of the message. And I think in political discourse and relating to one another just generally, I think we often let our emotions get out of control, and we're driven by emotion rather than reason. It can take discipline to speak civilly and collegially to people with whom, one disagrees.
Thanks so much for watching. Please click that like button and subscribe to Occupy Democrats so that you can stay informed and help us stop Donald Trump.